Ladies and gentlemen, it's Kenny Coins from Marathon Money. Welcome back, 2026 inside the ticker. Man, we have Mike from Saga Metals, man. Um, did I say, because I remember last time I said it wrong. Am I correct this time? Because I remember I watched the first interview just to get myself here. Saga Metals, am I right? Metals?
Yep. Saga Metals.
Mike?
Yep.
Perfect. So I know there's a ton of people, Reddit, messaging face group, YouTube, people on my channel, what I mean, Instagram, all been asking me, man, hey, when is Mike gonna get on? Because the stock last time we came on, and a lot of people watched it, the stock was at like 28 cents and then went up we saw that it went up on uh January 9th, it went up to like 71 cents. So everybody's excited. So how do you feel about this market reaction to what you're doing?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's extremely validating. Michael Garrigan and I are our chief geological officer and director as well. We've been building this company for several years now, and in the last 3 or 4 months, we're starting to kind of get that market recognition for the development of these assets, and more specifically, obviously, the Radar project. And so it's extremely encouraging, and there's just so much more to come as far as what we're doing inside the company and developing the project and moving things forward. That the new highs that we've hit are great, and can't wait to show everyone what's next.
But I do want to jump right into it. The drill results and the technical progress. You have made some headway. Definitely like kicking off this year with like the drill programs and mobilizing crews and stuff like that. Tell me how's that from basically December until now? How's that everything with the mobilization and the taper zones? Am I correct saying that? Taper zones, drill holes?
Yeah, trapper zone. Yeah, absolutely.
Trapper zone drill holes.
Yeah. So crews are mobilizing right now. Obviously, we had a little bit of a break there over the holidays, but everyone's headed right back to site. Full crew mobilizing. We're going to get the drill back up and running. Anticipated date is this weekend. And then really what we're planning on doing, in the next several weeks, like maybe call it 6 weeks, is that we're contemplating adding a second drill to the project as well, and just keep it humming and get more of that core out of the ground faster. So, to kind of back up and explain again, and maybe for those that aren't familiar with the story or haven't seen the first video, but we started this drilling on the property back in early 2025. So in the Hawkeye zone, which is more in the kind of the centralized part of the property, we did kind of our maiden drill program, exploratory drill program, and we proved out exceptional mineralization of titanium, vanadium, iron, great continuity across the zone. And so that was kind of our proof of concept. And we've always known that we've got about a 20+ kilometer oxide layering strike that kind of wraps around underneath and then towards the trapper zone. Linearly across the trapper zone is about 6 kilometers away from the Hawkeye zone. And so there was two great big anomalies that we can see, geophysical anomalies. So when you're looking at that, it's the magnetic high that you're seeing coming from the ground and below the surface. And so with there being an old forestry road that ran to the western part of the property, we knew that we could create an access trail to get into that zone and be able to move a drill with an excavator along that area. And so that's what we endeavored to do. And that's what we anticipated wanting to build our resource estimate on, because the geophysical highs we were seeing were exceptionally larger than what we were seeing at the Hawkeye zone. So the fact that we got amazing grades of the Hawkeye zone, we sort of thought, we were probably going to get better in the trapper zone. Sure enough, that's the case. January 2nd, we put out our assay results from holes 8 and 9, and we hit our highest grades to date. We were getting in a half-meter sample, we hit 9.4% titanium dioxide. We decided that because the correlation between these minerals is so well constituted within the core that we didn't need to do half-meter samples moving forward. Like 2-meter samples is sufficient enough to understand the geochemistry that's going on. And so we hit 13.3% titanium dioxide in a 2-meter sample. Of course, across the entire hole, we're still getting upwards of over 100% increase in titanium dioxide above and beyond what we're getting in the Hawkeye zone. So again, incredible results. We kind of knew and suspected that this was going to be the case. Of course, you can't quite say that to the market until you prove it out, and we've proven it out. And so we are endeavoring to complete the mineral resource estimate program. As I mentioned, the plan is to eventually get a second drill on the property and complete all of the drilling here in the first half of 2026, and then get that report out in the second half.
Man, that sounds amazing. It seems like pretty much all your success is coming, in waves like you guys planned it. So it's very nice to see, like things that are planned out. You guys are hitting all the markers. You guys are finding what you guys set out to do. It seems like this team is well put together. And what do you see happening for like the first, second quarter? As you guys keep moving forward as drilling, and then going into the second quarter, what should we be looking out for, or you guys should be looking out for, that we also should be looking out for as well?
Yeah, 100%. Again, when we get back to the drills here, starting this weekend, we're planning to do 30 drill holes over the Trapper the Trapper South. So the southern portion of the Trapper zone. That's going to, fully complete the grid over that area. And we're starting in the lower, extremity of that zone, moving our way all the way back up into Trapper North. Then we'll obviously continue and complete the drill program over that area. And so, what's coming is a lot of news is really what it boils down to. Like, I think if you go back and look at everything that we put out last year, especially in Q4 there, we're going to have as much or more news flowing into this first half of 2026 as we complete holes and put out observations on the level of oxide that we're seeing in the core, to further assays coming out, to metallurgical work that we're doing on the property. And I think that's something that's really important too, is that readers and viewers need to realize is that a lot of companies don't necessarily go out and do metallurgical work right from the get-go. You don't need that type of study to complete an inferred or an indicated mineral resource on your project. But one thing that was really important for us at Saga Metals was we didn't really want to just prove out that there's a resource on the property. We wanted to prove out that there's a resource that has economic viability associated with it. And so you need to do that metallurgical work to prove that out. And, we're really looking forward to sharing those results, in 2026 here.
Man, I'm looking forward to it, man. It's been a fun ride watching the stock grow, watching guys put out the information. How are you guys plan on adding more? I know we had a brief conversation. You can't tell me yet, but like, how are you guys going to capitalize? Are you going to add more people to the team? Or are you guys going to like start that second one and then add a third? Is there a plan to keep building and getting more minerals as we go further, as success comes?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the mineral resource estimate program that we're doing, like we are adding additional team members heading right out of the gate here in January. We are using a drill contractor based out of Newfoundland. He already has an exceptional team and a robust team that can handle bringing another drill on site and just getting more core out of the ground in a very, efficient and cost-effective manner. So we're kind of there in terms of capitalizing on the opportunity and sort of speeding up progress on the property. And, at the end of the day, we obviously had a wildly successful Q4 in terms of raising, upwards of $9 million First started out back in October with about a $3 million raise, and then we had an oversubscribed brokered offering that we completed for $6 million. And so, we're cashed up and ready to get drills turning and start spinning out news and further excitement on the property. And one thing that I'll just kind of jump in and mention as well is that I think a lot of the enthusiasm and everything that we're seeing is that not only are we showcasing success on the ground and from the core that's coming out in the assay results, but there's also just macro events that are occurring. And there's been some recent articles, mining.com and the likes that have put out sort of the significance of titanium and these critical minerals that we're uncovering right now, and demonstrating that they are in great quantities on our property, is that we need this stuff in North America, from a geopolitical standpoint and just everything that's going on with numerous countries across the globe, and the fact that China and Russia and some of these countries still dominate not only the mining of these minerals, but also processing and where they fit into the downstream markets. But from a defense perspective, the United States imports, arguably over 90% of the titanium alloy that they actually need to put into their fighter jets and, their missiles and, satellites and all the rest of it, right? Any kind of titanium production that comes out of North America right now pretty much all goes into the pigment industry. So that's a massive gap in supply chain security that needs to be rectified here. And I think that everything that we're doing on the Radar project and developing what could be a globally significant project is going to be, can be very meaningful right here in North America. So
I do want to go back to that over subscribing finance that happened to you guys and that 6 million you guys raised. I want to ask a question as the CEO. How do you feel about that? That vote of confidence that people actually see what you see in the company and what you see in you guys are doing.
Yeah, it honestly, it feels incredible. I mean, there's always sort of, it feels like a bit of that lag effect. We've been excited internally within the company about this project for quite a long time, but as I kind of mentioned before, the market needs to see that for themselves. They're not on the property. They're not the ones that are drilling. They're not the ones that are, breaking the rock off and sending it into the lab. So they don't really get to see these things firsthand. We do. And we've been excited for a very long time. So the fact that now we're able to share this with the market and let them see firsthand what we're seeing and show them and prove to them through the assay results that this is all real and, that we've got the grades and we've got the tonnage potential, and to kind of see that enthusiasm pour into the financing like we did is extremely validating and just very, very fulfilling, really.
No, I know it feels good because there's so many companies, well, we can say of almost 90% of companies in your position never get that vote of confidence, never get to the level you're at. And, it's very hard. It's very difficult. It's very hard to stay the road because you kind of have to get to the point where you like, here, you see what I'm talking about to get people behind you. And, it's like, yo, we can actually turn this into something. So I know that feels amazing right there. So basically, man, with so much execution that's happened, how you guys are mitigating like risk? What's the risk management for the project you're in? We want to know, what are you doing to make sure, drilling's not failing, that things are not going wrong? What are the protections you guys have out there to make sure it's like you guys are not falling too far behind? Things are going to happen. We know that, but what are you guys doing in place to like protect the company, protect investors, and then also protect the funds you guys are raising to make sure you guys hit all your goals for 2026?
Yeah, absolutely. I think something I mentioned possibly in our last interview was that a lot of that risk mitigation actually kind of came into play when we were initially scoping out and picking the project, right? So again, a lot of people might not be familiar with Labrador, but the fact that we have this project that has such exceptional infrastructure, that includes, road access and road networks right inside the property, to a town of, about 10 kilometers away from the property boundary, a deep water port that's, again, about 20 kilometers away from our mineralized zone, an airstrip that's commercially viable, right within Cartwright, as well as nearby hydroelectric power. These are all elements and aspects that make and sort of drive an economically viable project, and were extremely important to us as we picked up this project and started working on it. So again, a lot of that risk mitigation kind of came at the very beginning. Now moving forward, there's kind of other elements that you can do to sort of help protect your funds and just the ability to kind of keep drilling moving at a very swift and efficient pace. And that is the work that we did this past summer, which was putting in the trail network over the trapper zone. And what that enabled us to do was eliminate the need or use of a helicopter for this current drill program that we're doing. And the fact that we did use a helicopter for the drill program in early 2025. It was necessary given the time. We obviously didn't have the ability to kind of create this level of infrastructure ahead of that program, but it was also extremely important because that was our maiden program, and we needed to get those drills on the ground and start pulling out that core to be able to confirm what we already thought was there. But now moving forward and heading into arguably, obviously, our biggest drill program in the history of the company, and pulling out 15,000 meters of core for our mineral resource estimate program, we had to ensure that there was just continuity in schedule and timelines and costs and things like that. And so again, that's why, and it really didn't cost us very much money to do it, but we put in that trail network in the summer to be able to bring the drill out and be pulled along the surface of the ground with a 25-ton excavator. It allows you to avoid any issues with, weather coming in, because as you may or may not know, like obviously helicopters, they can't always fly, right? And if there's incremental weather coming in, or, there's obviously also hours, in terms of how long pilots can fly in a day. So there's just a lot of unknowns and risk, and it kind of forces you to potentially have to make different decisions when you're running your program. And so again, I think our biggest risk mitigation as we're looking to complete this mineral resource estimate drill program is the fact that we control all the elements of the program, and we're not really leaving anything up to chance as far as, weather or just other potential hazards that may impact or impede our ability to complete on time or ahead of schedule. So that's kind of everything that we've done to date.
Man, that's amazing. So obviously the radar is clearly the flagship asset now. Do the other projects in the portfolio still play a important strategic role?
100%. And again, we established ourselves as a diversified critical mineral company, and we've got assets within our portfolio that all are exceptional and have potential in development. And every year we're able to touch these projects and move them forward. And we're able to do that because we found projects that had high potential within a close-knit group within Labrador, and then one project that's just inside Quebec there. But again, all managed within a centralized hub. We don't have projects all over the world, and we're having to send crews, here, there, and all the rest of it, and spend excess amounts of money in logistics and all the rest of it. We can run either a simultaneous program on the radar project and send a small crew up to, the uranium project or the lithium project in James Bay to kind of keep, claims maintenance and some other things going, and just be able to come out of necessary data to advance these projects every year. And again, we thought it was kind of a unique opportunity to give investors sort of that additional value creation through being diversified. You don't have to just invest in a lithium company or uranium company or titanium vanadium company. Like, you can invest in Saga and have access to, numerous critical minerals that are just vital to everything we're working towards right now in North America.
When you collect all these minerals and, they passed all the tests, I know we spoke about this in the last interview, and I do want to get more of a clear answer on this? Once the resources are defined, do you see yourself and Saga partnering up with somebody that's going to play a major partnership role to take it to the next level? Or is this just going to come kind of just be where you get a distributor? That's it. You guys are next on the next project, on the next drilling hole. You know what I mean? Looking for the next big mineral.
Yeah, I think you kind of sort of hit it with the first aspect of that, which is, as we develop this and finalize the mineral resource estimate and show arguably the world just how exceptional this project is. That's kind of part of 2026 here, is to kind of get out in front of some of these major corporations that are in the specific industry that we're dealing with here, being titanium, vanadium with the radar project, and sort of seeing where that goes, whether it be a joint venture or an ultimate sale of the project. It's going to come down to how we can maximize value for our shareholders. Do we want to put our shareholders through, setting up a mine and then having to get it into revenues and then having to show profitability? That takes a lot of time, and your obviously your market cap as a company kind of goes through a bit of that ebb and flow as you transition from an explorer to an actual mining company. I don't know if we necessarily need or want to put our shareholders through that. I think that we can garner the most value for our shareholders by selling the project to one of these giant corporations that needs to bring this into their ecosystem and into their supply chain. And so that's kind of what's obviously, no pun intended, but on the radar for us as we advance this. And then really what that would allow us to do is do it again, right? Like, again, we've got a portfolio of assets that have, a lot of potential. Why not go do it again on the next one and create even more value for shareholders?
I like that. I think you guys are trying to focus more on the core who you are, and then not trying to divert from that. Pretty much stay where it's been working for you and become extremely successful at that.
Yeah.
I think that's a phenomenal idea. So what is the future for Saga in the next 2 years? At least what you want to see the next 2 years look like. You know what I mean? Because you guys are getting more and more successful, and you guys getting bigger and bigger, as the market cap grows. But obviously, you're going to go from one project to the next. Why should investors keep sticking with you? Is this going to be one of those, companies where we can say, look, I have them in my portfolio for a forever company?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I think that the fact that we've set ourselves up as a diversified critical mineral company and we have multiple high potential projects does allow an investor to have Saga in their portfolio for many, many years to come. In terms of what's next for us, like, again, we're still a far cry from some other significant companies out there that are within our space, being Largo. Their Brazilian projects, they traded about 150 million market cap. You've got Empire Metals with the titanium asset in Western Australia. They sit about, Canadian, about 500 million market cap. And again, from a Canadian side, we're sitting at about 50 million. So we're still have lots of room to grow, just specifically within the radar project. And as we prove that out, and again, inside 2 years, I'd love to see us reach the full potential of this radar project and sell it to a major corporation and provide a massive win to our shareholders and go do it again on the next project. And again, just have Saga be in someone's portfolio for, 5, 10, 15 years and beyond, right?
100%. Man, guys, so I love this part. This is a part where we get into like the nitty gritty of like a company that's really doing well, how they're doing well, why they're doing well, and then and what's the plan for the next couple quarters. So we're getting close to the end. And Mike, is there one thing you want the shareholders to know why they're holding the stock? What I mean, and for the newcomers as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you want to hold the stock now because we're just getting started, right? Like if, yes, like our stock has seen some appreciation over the last 3 months. And I think it's more just validating towards, getting to that market cap that's more respectable to the value of the project and kind of where we're headed. But we're just getting started. Like this mineral resource estimate is going to be huge for the company. The metallurgical work that we're doing on the Trapper Zone and segueing into the Hawkeye Zone and segueing into the Trapper Zone, again, is a massive piece to the economic viability of the project. And we're, again, super excited to get that out to everyone this year and kind of showcase that as we move forward. So lots and lots more to come. Sit tight and just watch it all unfold.
216% in the last 6 months. Guys, I would encourage to do some more research. I couldn't get to everybody's questions. I feel like I did the more important ones, so you can ask. But there's so much coming out with this company. We're definitely going to have him back on in a few months and see how things go. But, man, Mike, congratulations. I can't wait to hear more about you guys in the news. Looking forward to you coming back on. I know a lot of people is looking forward to this interview, but I'm always good for the companies that they execute well, they do what they need to do, and they protect themselves along the way, and also look out and being transparent to shareholders as much as they can. So I do appreciate that, Mike.
Yeah.
Besides that, guys, peace.